Hey, welcome, Book, our Facebook family. Very nice to see you again this evening. I hope you've had a fantastic week. It's Dr. Wendy Askew and myself here this evening.
Hi, John. How are you?
Thanks for
Hi,
joining
everybody.
us.
Thank you.
Hey, so I just wanted to remember for you guys to like, comment, and share as always. We've got a new option this evening. Stephen actually has set up some opportunities. If you want to actually call in and ask us any questions tonight, we have a new option where you can actually call in, ask us any questions you might have on the air, and we'll be able to answer those questions for you over the air. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Hopefully that'll be nothing that's too embarrassing for us. Depends on what kind of questions they ask tonight.
Yeah, maybe.
But if you want to call in tonight and ask us any questions, the phone number will be 855-955-2318. Again, 855-955-2318. You'll be able to call in, ask us any questions you might have related to CBD, the uses of CBD in regards to what a medical professional like Dr. Wendy would have for us, and hopefully we can actually answer those questions for you over the air. Hello, Kimmy. Thanks for joining us. Great to see you as always. So one of the other things I want to talk about is Bernie Market Days.
Yeah.
As always, we've had some fantastic shows over in Bernie. Just great people that we're
It's a
meeting
lot
out
of
there.
fun, yeah.
It really is. And this last one was not so hot.
It
so
was beautiful.
It was
the weather's
beautiful
getting
weather.
better, so come on out, stop
Yes.
by, chat with us.
It's been beautiful
sample
out
some
there,
products.
guys. And of course,
Yeah.
the weather's starting to get a lot better now, and they're getting into the Christmas scene. And of course,
Yay, the Halloween
the
season and the fall.
Oh, I
Yes.
love Halloween.
Me
I
too.
love Halloween.
It's so exciting.
So Bernie Market Days actually is going to be earlier this month. So it'll be on October 3rd and 4th instead of the second weekend this month.
Okay.
It'll be October 3rd and 4th. So they're moving it up at
weekend.
one weekend
Great.
because they have so many events kind of going on in Bernie
For the fall.
that we're going to be part of. In fact, so we're going to be part of Bernie Market Days. Plus, they also have some Main Street Days.
Yeah, those are fun.
So those are
I
going to be
love it.
awesome
Yeah,
too.
the boutiques.
And then there's
restaurants.
also some hot air balloon festival going on
That's
in Fredericksburg too. So we're
right.
trying to get in with that. So we'll see if we'll be all over the place.
Have
know,
you
for
ever
the
ridden
next
a hot air
months.
balloon?
Oh, I'm definitely afraid of heights.
Oh, yeah.
So I will not get up in there.
It's a lot of fun.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I just don't have it.
Yeah.
I take it back. I did it once.
Yes.
But I was so drunk. I was with all my
Doesn't
staff.
count.
I was with all my staff over in Disney.
That's
So it was
awesome.
that one where they actually had
Yes.
it tethered.
Yes, at
So they-
Downtown Disney.
Downtown
or
Disney,
what it's
yes.
called now. Yeah, something
So you can get up in there,
Yes.
and I was drunk off my tail, and I was with 7 of my director of nurses, and so we all get up in there,
great time.
and they're all jumping because none of them are afraid. They're laughing their ass off because I'm like holding on
white
so
knuckling.
tight and white knuckling
Yeah.
everything, and they start jumping on those grates. I'm like, stop! And
Yeah.
I'm gonna fire every one if you don't stop it. It was awful, but
That's so
we finally
funny.
came down, and it was great. So that's the first and last time we'll ever get
only
into one of
one.
those things.
We did it once at the Balloon Festival in Albuquerque, and I will tell you, we got really lucky, but it is completely uncontrolled, right? You just float around
Oh,
and then you
man.
kind of crash land in a field, or hopefully in a field. But yeah, I've done it too. Probably don't need to do it again.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
What about skydiving? Would you ever do that?
I haven't done it, but one of my big things, I know I've shared this with you, is that I just, now that I'm old and in the last part of my life, for me it's all about conquering fears. And so like I'm just trying to check off one fear after another, and skydiving is way up there. So yeah, I'll probably have to do that eventually.
Well, I'm getting there. I can actually move to the top of stairs sometimes without a rail, which is
Good.
for me is a big
Good,
thing.
that's progress.
But it really is hard. I mean, some of these I know they're psychosomatic,
Oh, yeah.
but it's really hard because like my knees will start to lock up and my arms, my hands won't move. I was like, come on, I got to be able to get over this.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how your mind works.
Yeah.
It really controls
It controls
absolutely
everything.
It's
Yep.
just amazing, absolutely amazing.
One day.
But yeah, one of these days. So I want to thank Dr. Wayne Lee. He was our winner last week. He actually won some gummies. So I know Dr. Wendy will be meeting
did
up
take
with
those
you
to
to
Wayne.
get those
Yeah,
out to
sorry.
you. So hopefully you'll like our products and really get some fantastic benefit.
I'm sure he'll love them. Yeah, it's his birthday month too, so happy
Awesome.
birthday.
Happy birthday, Dr. Lee.
birthday month.
Very,
Dr.
very
Lee.
great.
Yeah.
In September.
Mm-hmm.
September. That's
Yep.
it's one of those months. We had so many individuals kind of call in this past week, and they had so many fantastic comments and just really great things to say about the products that they've used with
Great.
us so far,
Yeah.
and even individuals that we've met over at all the farmers markets and Bernie Market Days. It's just been fantastic. I know Stephen did an interview with one recently that we'll be posting here shortly, and one of them was just the fact that they just have an opportunity to feel better.
Sure.
You know,
Yep.
a lot of us take that for granted.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
what is it like to actually feel better?
Absolutely.
You know, because I know for myself, you know, when I had my back pain that was overwhelming, debilitating, just in the mornings to wake up, to get out of bed, I have to roll to the floor, crawl to the bathroom, you know, try to stand up,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
just a nightmare.
It's horrible.
And the quality of life just wasn't
Oh,
there.
no.
So when you stop and you talk to some of these individuals we're talking to, the quality of life that they currently
Right.
have is just kind of that same way. I
Compromised,
mean,
right.
it is compromised, but the fact that we're actually providing a product to them that's changing that quality of life, man, it's just exciting.
Mm-hmm. It
Really,
is
really
profound.
exciting.
And you get insight into why chronic pain patients have so many other comorbid conditions like depression and insomnia and then everything that comes downhill from not being able to sleep and the constant pain. It affects all of your physiology, so your cholesterol levels, your blood pressure, gaining weight. If you can't get good sleep because you're in pain all the time, that affects all of your other physiology. And so if we can help them get better pain relief
Absolutely.
and sleep, then
Absolutely.
everything kind of follows. Hopefully they're doing great because they're great products.
So one of the things that we'll be giving away tonight, guys, is a massage oil. We have a massage oil that actually is 125 milligrams of CBD that's actually geared towards really helping loosen up those muscles, give you some really nice relaxation. So I know I talk my wife into rubbing CBD on my neck all the time.
I do too.
And every
Yeah.
once in a great while I can get her to like rub it on my feet, but it's like, I know, it's
I
one of
know,
those
it
things. It's like, please,
That's
honey,
a
please.
special occasion.
Yeah.
I know.
I'll take you shopping. And she will. She will. But no, it's
She's a good
it's
wife.
fantastic.
Yeah.
She really is. So it's fantastic. The CBD oil in itself, we've taken it to a number of massage places that we go to. Like I go to Massage Heights. We get
Yep.
those massages
Yep.
once a month, and I'll take it to the therapist that actually does our massages,
I bet they love
and he
it.
loves it because
Yep.
you know not only does it help me, but it helps him because he's massaging all day long.
Some of it.
Yes.
What a great idea. I hadn't even thought about that aspect
Yeah.
of it for them because that's a grueling physical job.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I know some people like that lotion rubbing massage, but I want bruises. I want like elbows.
Oh, my
I want
gosh.
to leave there. Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
I-
hard work for them all day long.
That is. I mean, I can do some trigger point.
Yeah.
But that constant, brutalizing. I'm okay. I get beat up. Other than that, my kids beat me up all the time.
Exactly.
So other than that's hard. And
So
you're
funny.
tiny too.
I
So
just
can you imagine
love
just?
it.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you're
Yeah,
like
no, it's
bone
great.
on bone there, just about.
Not quite.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh, but to release that tension, it just, oh God, I just love that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you definitely have to make sure you take that to your therapist next time.
Exactly. I
Let
need
them
to
try
take
that
some
out
to
on
my
you.
therapist.
That's awesome. So we'll be giving that away tonight. Hopefully, one of you guys that's on tonight will be able to win that. And then some of you actually commented quite a bit this week. Y'all had some questions for Dr. Wendy, so I wanted to give her the opportunity to kind of talk about those things.
Sure, great.
So some individuals actually called in and asked us about autism. Maybe we could talk about how our CBD products work on
Great.
autism. What are some of the best things for them to use on autism?
Awesome.
So we had two consumers actually called in. One of them has an 18-year-old
Okay.
who they've been treating with gummies.
Great.
But they're actually treating them with cannabis.
Yeah.
As opposed to CBD. So I
Yep.
want to know what the difference was.
Right.
If there's a great difference in moving them from the cannabis over to the CBD, do you
Yep.
recommend that or not recommend that? And another one had a younger one who
Right.
actually was 7 years of age
Right.
and didn't really know. She's heard a lot of positive things
Sure.
about it. And what do you recommend for her in order to get her son kind of moving in the right direction? Because he's a bit more escalated on the scale as far as the
Like
autism scale.
nonverbal and
So he's
some violent,
nonverbal
yeah.
and he's a bit more violent,
Yeah.
much more aggressive with
So
the other
sad.
children.
Right.
So she's trying to get him into a school program, but because he's so aggressive, she's having a really hard time. So she wanted to know if our
Great.
product would work on that.
Absolutely. I think there's really good promise. Cannabis medicine in general is amazing for autism, and as every parent who has a child affected by autism knows, we've got nothing, like almost nothing, to offer those patients. But cannabis shows amazing promise, and some of the board of directors for one of the cannabis advocacy groups, the Zartlers, they have the most touching, beautiful story about a severely affected daughter who is completely calmed and controlled with cannabis. And she does sometimes need inhaled, but it profoundly calms her down. And they are some of those beautiful videos that you'll see, like with patients with Parkinson's, where you'll see them dissolving some tincture below their tongue or taking an inhalation off of a vape pen. And just as you watch within seconds, less than a minute, you can watch the shaking calm down, and then you can watch the children with autism who are doing self-harm and banging their head on tables and things, and it's just terrifying because as they get bigger, you can't physically restrain them. Even when they're smaller, it's hard to physically restrain a child. So wonderful benefit for a lot of children who are affected. And being the conditions that we're working with in Texas, we would have to say start with a CBD product, and probably you need much stronger doses, like the 5,000 milligram tincture, 1 or 2 dropperfuls to start with them. Always you could start a little lower and then work up, but they're probably going to need a stronger dose, still very safe amounts for this type of condition. But to start with that, and if they're able to hold it under their tongue, if not, a gummy might be a better delivery method for them. I would really think that a full spectrum product would work better, just because of the synergistic effects of the different cannabinoids and the THC working with the terpenes and the flavonoids and the CBD all combined to give a better, safer result. So I would absolutely encourage them to try it for their children, and then hopefully we'll get some expanded laws for them. So yes,
Good.
autism, wonderful therapeutics for autistic patients.
And it's great that you talked about that, because that's one of the things you and I were just talking about just a few minutes ago. Is one of the things we have been selling is we've been selling an isolate gummy, which essentially we've stripped out all the THC, so there's nothing in there as regards to THC. But a lot of people have been asking for a full spectrum gummy, just because, like Dr. Wendy said, there's so many more benefits within the full spectrum as opposed to an isolate. Isolate's still going to work. You're still going to get a good effect with it, but we seem to find that in full spectrum products, you just get a much better response.
Yep.
Which again, it's fantastic, but it's all about the need. It's all about preference.
Yeah.
And of course, sometimes it's all about profession.
Yes.
Because as professionals, a lot of professionals who are drug tested cannot take
Correct.
Any of the full spectrum. They have to be on an isolate.
Correct.
Which again is why we sell those type of products.
And for the parents too, like a CBD product is really the best thing to start with because of the scheduling and the laws and the restrictions. But there's always the risks that a parent who is trying to help their child by giving them a cannabis medicine product that had more THC would be subject to CPMS prosecution and really unfair.
We definitely don't want that
behavior. Yeah.
That's unfortunate. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, because that's something that's really, really important here in Texas and in legislation in general. But we had some other questions I wanted to kind of go over with you. Another consumer actually called in and was asking about dementia.
Yeah.
They have a mother who's suffering from severe dementia.
Yeah.
They want to know if our product would be a good product for her to take.
Yep.
Because she's got, of course, a plaque buildup and everything else. So.
Right. So all still experimental investigational. There aren't what doctors would liken to FDA-approved randomized controlled trials. But what we do know about CBD goes back for years and years, right? So the federal government owned 2 patents on cannabidiol for years. The patents actually expired at the end of 2019, but that meant that they had owned it for 7 years. Specifically, patents for CBD as a neuroprotectant or a brain protecting property, and for an antioxidant compound with stronger antioxidant potential than vitamin C and vitamin E, clearly recognized. So to me, it's just such a strange dichotomy that on the one hand we have it considered a Schedule I drug, and the same government, a different arm of it, holds 2 patents on it because they know how beneficial it is at the level of the brain. So I can't tell you make these wild claims like it's going to reverse their dementia. What we think and hope and see from animal models looking at Alzheimer's and dementia-like conditions is that it can slow the decline, slow the deterioration. So it's something very safe, potentially beneficial to slow the deterioration. And Alzheimer's and dementia and the neurologic degenerative disorders are one of the ravages that we're experiencing as a society right now. For a variety of reasons, as we're getting older, we're affected by all these conditions that we have got terrible to no good treatments for. And cannabis medicine shows wonderful promise. The THC piece is especially exciting and promising and therapeutic. And one of my favorite studies, I know I've talked to you about it, I've probably talked about it on this show, but there was a study where they looked at dogs and they there's a particular artery that goes to the brain called the middle cerebral artery. They would occlude a branch in these experimental dogs, and so they knew that they were going to cause it to have a stroke, and a predictable, reproducible sized stroke. And then so they induced the stroke in all these dogs, and then they broke them into groups, and one group got a THC agonist called WIN. So it's a molecule that mimics the effects of THC in our brain. One group of dogs got saline, a placebo, and one got a molecule that was a THC blocker. And the animals that got the THC blocker, when they sacrificed them and then did their autopsies and looked at their damaged brain, showed dead brain that was significantly larger. I think it was a 20% greater dead section of brain compared to the animals that got the WIN compound that was the THC agonist. So THC in the brains of the animals that had been caused to have a stroke actually shrunk what's called the stroke penumbra, the area of dead brain in those experimental animals, and then the saline had like an intermediate sized group. So they've reproduced that study, and then there's these association studies that show that people who are in car accidents or injuries who experience a traumatic brain injury and have THC in their bloodstream, so presumably they were in a car accident or they were, have some accident, they show significantly less mortality and residual damage and dysfunction than people compared to people who do not have THC in their bloodstream. So these are not causation, but they're association, and they're pretty strong results. But unlike the dog study and then the animal models of neurodegenerative conditions, it really does show beneficial and protective effects of these compounds. So I can't tell you like, oh, it's absolutely going to help. I can tell you that it's got the mechanism of how it works is very promising. It's completely safe. It will have calming effects, and especially in those patients in the evenings when they get that sundowning and
Yes.
they're awake and they're wandering and they sometimes will leave the house and get lost. This is something that would really be promising to help keep them calm, hopefully help them sleep, and prevent some of those escalations. I've told my husband many times, like, if I have a stroke, when I have my stroke, you better be in my freaking ICU room just pouring CBD down my NG tube or down my tube.
Having a whole IV set up for you.
Exactly. Like when they're not looking, I want some CBD oil. Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway.
That's awesome. That's awesome. As always, guys, it's just fantastic to ask Dr. Wendy, because she just has all this amazing knowledge. It just
Opinions, yeah.
No.
I read a lot, yeah.
And that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what's amazing about you, is that you share that knowledge with others, because we're here to educate our consumers, educate individuals about the uses of CBD, because this is what we're all about. We want you to take something that's going to be to benefit to you, your family, your friends,
Yeah.
your coworkers, whoever might need it. We're here to help, and then that's our ultimate goal. So, one of the things that was supposed to happen this week was the House of Representatives was supposed to vote on legalizing the use of cannabis.
I know.
And that was supposed to take place on Thursday. And unfortunately, because of all this COVID stuff kind of going on, the Democrats and Republicans, if you're far left, you're far right, you're middle, it doesn't really matter. The fact of this was, everyone, all these politicians are holding each other hostage to get what they want. And unfortunately, we as Americans are suffering because of that.
Yes.
Because now they've postponed this vote until probably after the election or until next year, which really, really stinks, because what it was essentially was, this was the MORE Act that they were voting on. And for the MORE Act, they would have allowed us to legalize marijuana at a federal level. So that is huge in itself, because that gives all of the states the ability to make their own decisions as, number one, how to tax it, how to add excise taxes, how to do so many things. Colorado was the very first state in 2012 to vote and to legalize medical marijuana.
And adult
Actually,
use.
I'm sorry, it was in 2000 for medical marijuana, 2012 for recreational marijuana. And then by 2014 is when they finally got it up and running, and they did really, really well with it. And I wanted to kind of go over some stats, because they're just kind of mind-blowing. Because one of the things you look at is, when you look at how much money is really being spent on this product itself,
Yes.
Let's talk about the illegal version of it first.
Right, okay.
Because the feds have not approved it,
Right.
even though it helps so many people.
Yes.
Right now they're saying that in 2016, $53.3 billion was spent illegally on marijuana.
Wow.
So if that's the case, can you imagine if we stop giving all these drug dealers this $53.3 billion
Right.
and what that can do to the
Right.
state's economies, to
Right.
people like California,
Texas, yes.
Texas, all these places that
Yes.
have these needs.
Large populations and huge needs.
Absolutely,
Right.
it's just phenomenal. But looking at Colorado, they've done it right. They're the first state who has done this. And I know there's a number of other states. I know Stephen's going to put up a graph here in a minute to
10
kind of
states
show.
in the District of Columbia, yeah.
Well, actually, it's up to 11 now as of
Is it? Okay.
January of this year.
Okay, maybe I'm counting wrong, but okay, no, let's see.
Oh, there actually
Yeah.
here it is. So Stephen actually has it up
Thank
for us.
you.
So it's Maine, Vermont. Let's see, we're Michigan, Illinois, Colorado, Nevada, California, Oregon, and Washington, and
Rhode
Alaska.
Island, and then the District of Columbia.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was up to 11. So
That's
which is
great.
which is crazy. I mean that's
know.
fantastic. That,
wonderful.
that so many states are actually getting to that point. But when we look at what Colorado did, Colorado when they first started, they essentially were excising this tax, and the taxes they were excising was 2.9% for medical marijuana, 15% tax for recreational marijuana, and a 15% excise tax on retail marijuana.
Gosh.
So I mean that's a
It's a
huge
lot of tax revenue.
That is a lot of
It's
tax
a lot
revenue.
of schools that can be expanded, and
And
lots
what
of
were they
social
doing with that
programs.
money? So they were putting it into education, into public health, construction, law enforcement, substance abuse prevention.
Yes.
It's just absolutely amazing. So when they first started, the first year for 2014 was $683.5 million. Wow. Not bad. Not bad at all in 2014. In 2019, they jumped to $1.75 billion in recreational sales.
Right.
That's just mind-blowing.
I think so.
In that small period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 years essentially, and they've already gone to 1.75
Incredible.
billion.
What does that do to their budget, right? Because everybody runs deficits. Something like this levels that up, if not puts you into.
So they've actually said that this actually has decreased their losses by 3.9% of their budget.
Wow.
I mean, that's a
That's
huge
profound,
percentage.
yeah.
That really is. Now, is it going to do anything to the federal government if we were to legalize it in all 50 states? I don't think. I read some studies actually on the way over here too. It's not going to hit probably less than 1% of our $1 trillion budgets that we have for the U.S., but it really can make some type of difference in so many programs that we're currently not able to subsidize.
Right.
For wellness for women, wellness for mental health, wellness for children. There's a lot of child abuse kind of taking place in our country, and especially now that all the children are home and doing a lot of the homeschooling. It's overwhelming for a lot of people.
Yeah,
It's overwhelming for us, and
And then people who are really stressed, like financially, and don't have good child
my
care
gosh.
support, and who had kind of a little reserve what they had. Now you've thrown in the mix. Now they can't work, they can't pay their bills, they're home with their kids all day. You really put a huge strain on people who were struggling to hold it together. I'm not excusing anyone's behavior, but
No,
it's
of course not.
created a lot of problems, and those poor kids are the ones who suffer. Colorado also, one of those things that was in the article that you shared with me was that they used a lot of money to combat cyberbullying in the
Yes,
schools.
they did.
So there's a lot of good that comes out of these tax dollars.
And the other thing we're always talking about is the use of RCBD instead of opioids.
Yeah.
So they actually were talking about this in 2017 because remember they legalized this for recreational. So 2 years after they legalized it for recreational use, by 2017 they saw a decrease of 6% in opioid deaths related to
Yes.
the overdose of opioids.
Absolutely, and big reductions in the amount of opioid prescriptions that were filled, because the way cannabis interacts with opiates does not increase the risk for respiratory suppression. It decreases their need for opiates and for benzodiazepines and the medications that we're combining together to cause people's brain stems to shut down and stop breathing, and so it's a nice adjunct for people who are suffering with chronic pain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, and guys, I don't want to go out there and just claim that this is God's gift to medicine, which I think it is. But essentially, one of the things that we found is Colorado has done it right.
They did a
I think
good job.
Colorado has
I
really
do too.
set up a good program.
Yep.
It may not be good for all states, but it's good for their state. And I think that Texas is well on its way to create a product line for the use of cannabis and the use of CBD that's going going to be beneficial to all Texans. And that's one of the things that I think we as Texans have to come together and start looking at, the legislation that we want to push for Texas. So if you have not had a chance to talk to your senators or your congressmen, it's important. On our next show, I'll make sure that we have all of we have some form letters that I think we can put out there for you guys to start submitting to your congressmen and senators to make sure that you want your voice heard, because legalizing this here in Texas can do amazing things, not only for our healthcare system, for our police officers,
economics,
our economics as a
social
whole.
programs for our schools. And people don't think about this as a tangent, but it does tie in. Like, if we had that kind of revenue, right? I don't know if everybody realizes how impactful the hit from COVID has been. Like, colleges, high schools, all kinds of schools are having to cancel a lot of their sports programs, a lot of their social programs. A lot of departments are just going away forever because they lost so much revenue, not being able to run their sports programs, their big money-making football and basketball programs, that all the pieces below them, the secondary programs, whether it was baseball or golf or whatever, those are going away forever. They're never going to come back. And is there a way to revive that or to resuscitate those programs? Maybe a cannabis program would certainly help, and part of that money would for sure go to school,
absolutely,
to support their needs.
And there was another research trial. I was not a research trial, but an investigational ad I was reading on, and it was through the American Journal of Public Health. They were actually talking about, if we were to get this approved in Texas, that they anticipate the first year in retail sales for recreational use in Texas would be over $3 billion.
In the first year?
The first
with,
year.
Like, recreational use?
Yes.
Wow.
First year in Texas. Of course, we're much larger than Colorado. But it took them 6 years to get to $1.75 billion. We'll be at $3 billion they're anticipating the first year of recreational sales.
Absolutely.
I mean, can you imagine what we do with this program over 5 years, over 10 years, what we can do? And then our educational programs. We're always talking about, like you said, the need for that education, that growth, the need for our, if you drive around San Antonio, and even on some of our major highways here in Texas, it's sometimes it's it can be a crapshoot. So you have to be very cautious about those things. Yeah. Especially on 35 to Austin, back and forth.
It's a mess.
Oh my God,
281.
such a nightmare.
It doesn't seem like they'll ever finish that mess of construction work. And then people are flooding into the state at such a high rate that the growth can't even keep up with the schools. So the schools, as soon as they open, they're full, and all of a sudden they need to build a new school, and that's another 7 years in the making with respect to voting and budgeting and financing and construction and everything else. So the growth is good, but
we need money to subsidize that.
Money to subsidize it. And then just goes hand in hand with it, to decriminalize things like minor possession is really important, because we don't need to waste police resources, jail resources, court time for things like minor possession charges. There are real crimes being committed that really should be pursued, and we'd like our officers spending their resources and their time working on dangerous crime rather than possession charges. And for those of you who do think that this is an important legislative issue, I know it is overwhelming and the election process is so gross and ugly. The normal website, NORML, and the Foundation for an Informed Texas website have got links to this, and they have got amazing voter resources that will tell you where all the candidates stand on issues.
Perfect. We'll post that next time.
Yeah, and so it's very good information, because you really don't want to just go in and pull a blue ticket or a red ticket, because it just doesn't mean that much. You don't know if those candidates really even vote or believe or support the way you want them to.
Exactly.
It's a lot of work, but it's important.
And this is, again, it's a great opportunity for Texas. Is it gonna fix everything for us? Of course not. Even looking in Colorado, there are some negative stats that I didn't bring up. Of course, their crime, kind of aggravated assault, continued to increase by 25% from 2013 and 2017. Does it have anything to do with medical marijuana? No. Or marijuana? No. What they're looking at is they identified that as they did find a number of homeless individuals that did move into the state, that really found an increase in that.
Yeah.
So they found that those individuals were actually committing aggravated assaults and
Interesting.
you know,
Yeah.
breaking into
Yeah. So
burglarizing
there's
homes,
bad
stuff like
with
that.
the good.
There's always bad
Yep.
with the good, but you have to kind of take that into balance and see what's really in the benefit
Right.
of us as a healthy Texas.
Right.
And that's really what we're kind of moving towards, is what is going to be healthy for Texas, what is going to be great for Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the use of legalizing this for Texas and then bringing those revenue dollars into Texas is going to be something that is profound for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to be important for us to not only get this more bill passed so it's federally legal in all 50 states, and allow the states to then find a way to then balance themselves, because that's what we want. We want the states, you know, to find a way to find a program that's going to be beneficial for all of them, because like we talked about, those taxes that Colorado kind of created, that works fantastic for Colorado.
Yep.
But it may not work well for Texas. I mean, we have to
for
create
Arkansas,
maybe
yeah.
different taxes.
Yeah.
You know, of course, we already have so many taxes here in Texas. We need to add another
know,
30%. So maybe we
That's a
can
high
come down on
tax
that.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be great. But just as a consumer and an owner myself, you know, I think it would be great for us to come down on the taxes a little
I
bit.
agree. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, Dr. Whitney?
A syntax, exactly. No, none of that.
But I really hope that you guys got a little bit of something from this. You know, we really want to make sure that the uses of all of our products are to the benefit of you as a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
That's our ultimate goal here. We want to get the word out to you, kind of educate you like we always do. We always want to make sure that if you have any questions, you can still call in and ask us any questions. 855-955-2318 if you want to ask us any questions before we kind of sign off here in the next few minutes. Mike, do we have a winner tonight who's going to win this massage oil? Who is going to be the lucky beneficial person that's going to win the massage oil tonight? If you can. Because I know we had last week, we gave away some gummies. It was great. Those gummies are always fantastic, which I said we're going to have some full spectrum gummies coming up here in the next week. We'll have some of those coming available for sale. And for me, the great thing about the full spec, you know, I get a better response with any of our full spectrum products.
I love full spectrum.
But the great thing about our gummies in particular, you know, everyone liked the isolate because they don't have that real hempy taste,
Yes.
and they don't have that bad aftertaste like a lot of gummies that you buy on the market do.
Yes.
The same thing will for our full spectrum.
Yeah.
You're going to have
They're
the same thing.
delicious. Yeah, they are.
Now they're not great for diabetics because you have a lot of sugar.
Yeah, that's okay.
But and they're made with a gelatin base, so you have to kind of be cautious if you have if you're diabetic.
But you don't want to eat a whole bottle of them either, just like you don't want to eat a whole bag of Sour Patch Kids. That's what we normally do. This is medicinal. So
It
you
is.
take one or
It-
two.
it
and
is.
Yeah,
It is.
absolutely.
Yeah, that is fantastic. What do we find
We
out?
are still waiting to
Are we
find
still
out who
looking to
our
find out
winner
who we
is.
have as a winner tonight? So you have any big plans for the weekend?
This coming weekend? No, we went fishing last weekend. That was
How was that?
It was
How
so
was
much
it?
fun. We caught a bunch of redfish. I got a little too much sun and had a great time though. Yeah, it was like my husband's birthday weekend celebration.
Awesome.
So happy birthday, Sam.
Yeah, happy birthday, Sam.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're watching us tonight.
I didn't see him tune in.
Oh, no
but
worries.
That's all good. Yeah.
No worries. So did y'all bring the fish back, or did y'all catch them? What did y'all do?
No, he left them. I had to leave on Sunday, but he stayed for an extra day. So they had like 7 or 8 big redfish, and I think they were still getting cleaned when he left. So we didn't get any of them.
Oh,
That's
no.
okay. But it was a great time. Yeah,
That's awesome.
It was a great time.
So were y'all fishing off the pier, off a boat?
No, we
or-
went out in the boat. We were in a little town called Seadrift, and our friends took us out on their boat, and it was a good time. We went to like 3 or 4 spots on Sunday. I was a little hungover, and so
That's
like
always good.
it was a lot of fun. It was all worth it. But so we are going, and we're not catching anything, and I'm thinking like, oh, I gotta go. I've got this 3-hour drive, this and that, and whatever. And then we got to the last stop before we were gonna hang it up, and I mean like 3 reels going all at one time, and everybody trying to reel in there. It was so exciting, and just like
Isn't that
fish
awesome,
after-
though?
It was so much fun. Yeah, it was a great time.
So I went fishing with some friends of mine, some physicians that I used to work with.
Yeah.
And we went fishing there in out of New Orleans. There was a little place we went
Nice.
to, a lodge, and they, of course they knew where all the places were.
I bet
had
they did.
these perfect spots. So we got the big bullfish, big bull reds.
Awesome.
Man, those were fun.
Those are
but you know
awesome.
the run for that,
Yes.
it takes 45 minutes just to get them in the
get-
boat, because
Holy
you get them all the way to the
cow.
boat, and then they take a run.
You
and
are
then
kidding.
30 minutes. I was like, oh my god, my arm is
Oh my
killing
god,
me.
I can't even imagine. Just reeling in one redfish would have been painful.
Oh, and then it was over and over and
Oh
over
my
again.
god, I don't think
So I
I'm
was
down
like,
for that.
oh
I'll
my
take
gosh.
these easy little redfish that we have in the Gulf here.
And then, so one of the things I wanted to remind you of next week, guys, is we're going to be giving away a pack of cocaine. Now, cocaine, just so you know, it is not real cocaine, guys. It's our energy drink, as everyone knows. But everyone loves to see it because it's a fad.
It's catchy, exactly.
It's really catchy.
It gets your attention. Yes,
it does get your attention. So we have an energy drink that's called cocaine.
Marketing. Exactly.
Marketing 101. It gets your attention, and we definitely do. Every time we go to the shows, everyone's like, "Are y'all selling cocaine here? Is that real cocaine?" I was like, "No, it's not real cocaine." But yeah, this is our cocaine brand. So we'll be giving away 4 of these next week. We have these in a cola. We have them in a berry, a spicy, and a mango. So great tasting. Of course, they're high content of caffeine. But for those individuals like Steven, who actually need these, he actually goes through these, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, to keep him going because he's a workaholic.
Full of amino acids and vitamin B6 and B12 and L-carnitine. Looks like good stuff.
So we'll be giving that away next week. So for those of you guys. Yeah, you nose wonder. Yeah, okay, guys, come on.
I know it's degenerating here. All right.
So we'll be giving that away next week. Our winner for tonight, though, is going to be Sarah Vaca.
Woohoo!
So, Sarah,
congratulations,
thanks
Sarah.
for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you watching the show. You're our winner for tonight, so we'll be getting you out this massage oil. Hopefully that someone can use on you, and you can really start to feel the difference. And like I said, my wife uses it on me, and it works fantastic. And even the massage therapist that we go to works on us. Mm-hmm. So got to let you try some of that stuff. But as always, guys, we really appreciate you joining. If you have any questions, comments, you're always more than welcome to send us in questions. I had a lot of questions this week that we were able to kind of put together and share, which Dr. Wendy was able to answer on the air for us. But if you have any questions or comments, always send them into our Facebook page, our Instagram. Yeah, we'll at any given point in time we'll answer them throughout the week if we can. If we cannot, we'll answer them on the Facebook Live show like we did tonight. But I really appreciate you joining us again tonight. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you, Dr. Wendy, as always.
Thank you. Yeah, pleasure to be here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Y'all have a fantastic week, guys.
Yep, we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.